Hey everybody, Dr. Rafich here with a non-veterinary video. I made a video on this channel about 4 years ago, which you can check out, and it was titled something like Veterinarian Predictions or something like that. And it was in reference to during I think during the pandemic where misinformation and disinformation was the norm, and everybody was all confused about where to find accurate resources for looking up stuff. And if you go to school, especially higher education, you learn what the resources, how to look up resources, and how to consider what's a valid resource and what's not. So anyway, and I talked in that video about what I predict as far as human beings on a global scale, eventually denouncing the internet and going back towards things that were a bit more tangible, more reliable back in the day. But anyway, you can look at that video if you'd like. This is another prediction video that I have in regards to what I'm hearing a lot about with the loneliness pandemic and dating in general, relationships, that sort of thing, which is very difficult on its own, and I think it's going to become more complicated. So this comes also at the heels of artificial intelligence being the norm now, and these robot girlfriends that you could have. I mean, they've been out for years. People have known about them. There was a cool documentary that was hosted by Robert Downey Jr. on YouTube again a couple years ago. I don't remember exactly when, and they introduced the idea of a romance with artificial intelligence. And then there's movies that are out there like Her, for example, which is a phenomenal film, and the other one, Ex Mechanica or something. Anyway, they're all based on men falling in love with artificial intelligence, female robots, that sort of thing. So here are my predictions. Here's what I think is gonna potentially happen. Starting off with folks who do the whole OnlyFans content. There's going to come a time now where, similar to deepfake videos, where it's already happening, artificial intelligence, fake ladies on there are going to replace the real ones. I mean, if you can imagine a scenario where those types of images, videos are so real that you can't not only you can't tell the difference between them and a real person, but also if they have the ability to communicate with their fans, probably mostly men, 24/7 immediately, and tailor the responses to what the subscriber, the fan, whatever, wants to hear, and create an artificial relationship. And they can do that scaled, right, 24/7. It's not a human behind it, it's an AI system. They may replace people, real human beings that do that kind of work. And so I imagine a scenario where not only that becomes the norm and puts these ladies who do this type of content out of business, but if you can also instill that sort of thing into a robot, where they have what we would consider the artificial version of a conscience, then you're going to have easily men walking around with one or more robot ladies, and they consider themselves to be in a relationship that's already being talked about. That's nothing new there. What I'm predicting, though, in the progression and the evolution of these things, is that eventually we're going to see something that's analogous to segregation, where back in the day, where racism was the norm in America, buildings, offices, whatever, said no blacks and whites only, and people had different bathrooms, different water fountains, all that stuff. We're gonna my prediction is we're gonna see that with robotics. We're gonna have buildings, establishments, restaurants, bars that are gonna say no robots, no artificial intelligent, humans or whatever in there, and there's gonna be protests. People are gonna fight it. They're going to say that these individuals have rights too, because at some point we're going to view these robotics as being no different, or at least fairly similar to real people in these relationships. You're going to have establishments that are going to allow robots to join, sit at a bar, sit at a table, and of course they're not going to consume nutrients. They're not going to buy drinks. They're not going to eat food. So restaurants are going to charge a fee to have that seat taken by a being that is not going to eat food, but yet it's providing somebody companionship who brought them in. So it'll be some guy at a bar with one or two robot ladies, and they're going to, they have conversation, and the guy is going to pay for these robot ladies to take seats, and we're going to see, you know, it's going to get to the point where it'll eventually get into, it'll compete with the law, and we'll end up having robot laws. And it sounds crazy because you'd think, well, we would never treat, machinery the same as human beings. We haven't done that ever for anything, cars, airplanes, all that kind of stuff. But this will be different, and eventually we'll just get to the point where we believe these beings are actually sentient, and there's going to be parades and movements and uprisings and this side versus that side. And so that's my prediction. And it's all going to stem from this whole pandemic of loneliness and this technology getting better and better and better. So that's my prediction for all this stuff, is that's what we're going to eventually see. And of course, all the other natural things that you would consider from having a relationship with a real person. Weddings, will be officiated, and if they adopt a child, will having a robotic companion play a role in the application process of, is that considered a two-parent household or whatever. You can imagine all these things happening, and who knows. And then you take into account Will Smith's movie I, Robot from a while back. If these beings can actually drive cars and operate other kinds of machinery, can they actually be keepers of a house and raise a kid and do all this stuff? Another movie that's like that also on Netflix was that post-apocalyptic movie. Boy, I can't remember it. Mother, or I think Mother. But anyway, it's a phenomenal movie. I can't remember the name, but anyway, similar thing. That little girl was raised by a robot who was obviously super advanced, and conversed with a child who didn't know any different. Because why would a child know any different if they've never been exposed to another human being? So that's my prediction for all this. As crazy as it sounds, but it's gonna happen. If it does happen, it will happen fast. We're going to be seeing this technology accelerate rapidly. So that's my thought. Feel free to comment on it, of course. I'd love to have that kind of discussion. And again, once in a while, throw in a non-veterinary video on this channel for folks who are interested in this kind of stuff, or whatever it means. So we'll have civil rights movements for robots, and all of our social norms will be challenged. So we'll see. So forget about artificial intelligence replacing your jobs. Are they going to replace your intimate relationships at a scale that is going to be basically invisible to us as being abnormal and unnatural? We'll see. All right, thanks for those who watch and support the channel. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.